to Cigar Church, where our passion for cigars and our love for Jesus come together. And once again, we are here in Stagg, Stillwater, Oklahoma. Our last episode that we're doing in this bunch here at Stagg. Mr. Joel has been a wonderful host. We've had the opportunity to talk with him and enjoy this location. We do want to say this just right up front. We've been filming before they opened, but this episode they just opened up, so we may have a little bit of distractions, a few people walking in, so don't worry about it. We'll make sure it's good. And we are having just a great conversation today about change. And the reason we're talking about change is because of what we're smoking right now. We have discovered a new cigar. A new line of cigars, and we're all smoking something out of that line. Luciano Cigars, our friend Big Tony Gomez, who's been on the channel, we talked to him when he went from Espinosa over to Jake Wyatt Cigars, and we discovered Jake Wyatt because of that. We just got love for Big Tony. When he changed from Espinosa, we were surprised. He was the face of Espinosa. Eric and those guys over there are great, but we knew Tony and went to Jake, and then we heard not too long ago that he went from Jake Wyatt over to Luciano Cigars, and so we wanted to know what the deal was. What's the deal with Luciano Cigars? And last night we had the privilege of going to 2nd Street Cigars to a Luciano Cigar event. We interviewed Tony. We talked to him about the lineup of Luciano Cigars, so we wanted to smoke one of their cigars on this episode. So what do you got over there, Mr. Steve?
I'm smoking the Maria Lucia, and it is recommended by Mr. Joel.
Mr. Joel.
And so far, it's really good. It's a lot smoother than last. I had some strong cigars this morning.
Yep.
It's a lot smoother. I ain't got the notes just yet, but it's really good flavor.
Yeah, that's good.
It's Ecuadorian. Let me
look at your notes.
Actually, wrong. It is Connecticut broadleaf wrapper. Tobacco has a mixture of Dominican, Nicaraguan, and Peru.
Oh, Peru.
Yeah, I throw a little curveball in there.
And I've noticed with Luciano, they throw in some different stuff. They've got the Istanbul cigar, which I smoked last night, that's got some Turkish tobacco in it. A wonderful cigar. Absolutely loved it. What are you smoking?
I am smoking the same thing. The Maria Lucia. I've got the box press. And I'm getting some interesting notes. It's definitely a unique blend.
Yeah.
There's some notes in there that I'm not sure I've ever picked up before. So.
Enjoying it so far?
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Pretty
we
strong.
always smoke cigars with joy. I tell you, if we don't, we'll say.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We'll let you know.
Yeah.
We will definitely let you know if but here, let's just be honest. When we pick cigars out to smoke on the channel, it's usually a cigar that we've had before.
Usually.
We know that we're going to like it just because we want to smoke something good on our episode. Recommended to us.
Right.
And so you're rarely going to see us smoke a bad cigar because we've had experience with it.
It did happen.
This is the first time for you to smoke those cigars.
Yes.
So that may happen, but so far you like them, right?
I will buy it again. No
good.
Drop the jump, I'll buy it again.
All right. I'm smoking the Mox Igneous. That's a hard one to say. Mox
It's a strong cigar, what they say.
It is a strong cigar, and it is an interesting cigar. I'm not saying yet whether it's a real. I mean, it's a good cigar.
Is that the one that Tony said you're either going to love it or you won't?
I think so. I think so. And here's why. It is Ecuadorian wrapper, the Corojo 98 Ecuadorian wrapper, great wrapper. The filler is Nicaraguan. Everybody on the channel knows we love our Nicaraguan cigars. But here's what's interesting. It's got the binder is Brazilian. And I do really enjoy Brazilian cigars. You guys know the CAO BX3. I don't smoke it very often, but it is one of my go-to cigars. And it's all Brazilian. Wonderful cigar. But that Brazilian binder is really coming out, and it's a weird balance between having that Ecuadorian and that Nicaraguan, and then throwing in that Brazilian. It's so far a very good cigar. I'll tell you at the end of the episode if I'm going to smoke one again. But it is unique, a definitely unique smoke. So let's talk about Luciano Cigars. I mean, many of you on the channel probably have never even heard of them. It's a small boutique brand.
Yeah.
Haven't been around a whole long. I mean, they've been around a little bit, and
New to us.
New to us.
It is
Very new to us.
yeah.
What are your thoughts so far on the cigars, on the company?
I mean, it's
Well, I had this one. I had the one last night. I don't remember which one it was, but I enjoyed both so far.
Yeah.
I bought a handful, so
The construction has been amazing on all of them. Easy to smoke. You had to run a little poker through it.
I did. This is a little tight,
tight.
but it is a box press, so
Yeah.
you know it's a little compressed. But the flavor notes are unique. You know, it's nice sometimes to get those cigars where it has those unique hints that you're trying to pull out that you don't get, you know, with your daily smokes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's good.
I mean, there's such a variety in cigars. I don't know how many thousands of different faces of cigars you could have in a humidor, and it's rare when you do find that one cigar that just stands out. Like, there's nothing I've ever smoked that tastes like this cigar, and for sure on this Moss Igneous, that's what I'm getting. I mean, it is unique enough that I'm having to really think about the cigar and think about the notes that I'm getting off of it. That brings me to our subject for today. We'll talk about it in the scripture here in just a second. But how do we deal with change, fellas? And whether it's changing of what cigar we smoke, what our go-to cigar is, whether it's changing a career path, going from one brand of cigar to another, as Big Tony has multiple times in the last couple of years, or just a big change in your life. How do we deal with change?
for me, if something happens spur of the moment, I can adapt pretty well. And move forward. If it's something I'm changing something in the future, and I got time to think about it. That's where I struggle.
Oh yeah, it starts.
That's where the anxiety comes in.
Oh yeah,
you know, but if it happens quick, I can adapt pretty good.
I think most people just don't like change, and it's the anxiety of it. It's something new, something I haven't experienced. It's not my daily routine, and that makes life hard, right? What are your thoughts?
Well, right now our life is changing, but
our life is changing
way too.
I'm gonna come back to that here in just a second. Dan, what are your thoughts on change?
I'm not a spontaneous person.
Nobody knew that.
I do like things to be the same. But it's funny, when it comes to cigars, I do like trying new cigars. And it's funny because when we go to our lounge and I need to go pick something up, which I don't need to go pick something up. I have enough cigars.
We
to smoke
know
for a year.
You got more cigars than you can count. No, I'm just
anyway, not as many as some of our friends. But anyway,
right.
But I'm always going into the humidor to see what's new, to see is there a limited series, is there something coming out, because I love experiencing new flavors, new cigars. And I found some great dailies that way because you're going through there and you smoke something and you're like, wow, that was so unique. I want to buy a box of these. So it's kind of funny how my regular life of order is different in the cigar world because I like the new. So.
One of the things I love about the humidor at Omerta, when we go in there, they've got a shelf right when you walk in the humidor. I mean, if you walk straight in, you'd run into it. That's stuff that's new to the humidor, and some of it's not necessarily just new stuff. It's just that hasn't been in the humidor, and some of it's just released stuff and that kind of thing. But it's always fun to walk in and look at that shelf right away and say, okay, what's out there that I haven't tried yet that just came out or whatever. And I'm finding all the time, I'm finding something new on that shelf that I'm like, okay, this is good. I'm glad that we found that. And so what I wanted to come back to that you just said, when we talk about change, we're doing a disservice if we don't talk about the different types of change, right? There are times when things change and it's bad, and there's times when things change and it's good. I mean, I remember when my wife got pregnant with both of our boys, life was about to change, especially that first kid. When we got pregnant with Max, in 9 months, everything's about to change. But there's not that negative anxiety because you're excited about this new life coming into the world. And so why is it that some change hits us different than other change? Some of it's the not knowing or the spontaneous change, but
sometimes you want change because sometimes something is not the way you want it to be and it needs to change. And we may still even fear those changes, not knowing, but sometimes you're so tired of the same old that you've got to do something new.
Yeah. And that's that's a scary spot to be. Because I mean, when you're so sick and tired of the routine and nothing's changing, nothing's getting better, and you know something has to change, whether that's in a lifestyle.
But you get comfortable though, even though you don't enjoy it, you get comfortable in it.
Yeah, and that's where the anxiety comes in. I'm comfortable, but I don't like it. It's familiar. And it's whether it's with your diet when you got to lose weight, or with your finances when you got to stop blowing money, or whatever. You know, a big choice, a big thing has to happen. And you kind of sit there and you weigh, okay, what if I don't, and what if I do? You know, and when we know that change is coming, I mean, it can bring that anxiety. We've got a big change. I mean, it's already happening, and by the time this episode airs, I mean, it's pretty much happened. But I mean, it took us a while as we said, okay, we're ready to launch this new lounge and to step out in faith and spend the money and engage in the time and effort to build this out. I mean, that's a change of lifestyle for all of us, really starting a company, and our wives and our families had to deal with that change. Our time with our kids and our time with our spouses and our time on our other jobs and all of that stuff, we had to figure all that out in that rhythm. And that was a big change for the three of us, and hopefully it's going to be a great change. That's our goal, right? What happens when change is thrust upon us in a negative way? The loss of a loved one, getting fired from a job, getting evicted from your home. When something is sickness or something, how do we deal with those types of change?
Well, I think as a Christian, I know it sounds cliche to say, we rely on God, but you have to find that anchor point in your life, and as a Christian, God is that anchor point. It's also fair to say that a lot of times when bad things happen, sometimes you grow through that, and you change, and it's the question that a lot of people get posed all the time is, if you could go back in time and change anything, would you change anything? And I've always been that guy to say I wouldn't change anything, because even the little things, good and bad, that have happened has led me to where I'm at today. And I can say I'm not content, because there's a lot of things I still would like to change, but I'm happy where I'm at, in that my relationships and what I do, that's a good thing. And could it be better? Sure. But it could also be a lot worse. It's kind of a butterfly. It
really is. And last night I was having a great conversation with a friend of the channel, and he was talking about when he came to know Christ about a year and a half ago. His life before that, and even when he was younger, was really rough. I mean, went through a lot of painful things, from abuse to prison time and all of this stuff. And he said, without even me asking, he said, I would not go back and change. I have zero regrets, because who he is today, he had to go through all of that to get there. And so often we're like, I wish this would be different in my life, or whatever. If we really had the ability to change those things in the moment, we might actually be circumventing something big that God has in store for us, that he's teaching us, and through those difficult times in that process. And we might actually be taking a future blessing away by changing that in the moment.
I think I always fall back to the scripture, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6.
Yes,
Trust the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he'll make your path straight.
I think go ahead.
It don't take away. It helps. It don't take it away the full anxiety, but it helps. If you just trust the Lord, it kind of just kind of takes some of that burden away. The what ifs.
And in the New Testament, that same idea is renewed when it says that God is working all things for the good for those who love him. And it's that exact idea is trust in the Lord, because he is good, and he's working those things out for the good. Behind the scenes, and it doesn't mean that he's going to change it right now and make it good. He's working it out for the good, and that's a process. us. Look at the book of Job. Job, right in the middle of all of his turmoil and all the things that he went through, could have said, well, God, where are you? You're not a good God. You're all this harm you're letting happen to me. But no, he was patient and let God's goodness be seen through the whole process and everything going on behind the scenes and all of that. And because of it, we have this great story of Job going through a difficult season. Let's look at our text for today, and it's a great text from the Old Testament in Ecclesiastes. If I can get my Bible to open up. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 gives us this really poetic text that is just a beautiful statement that talks about change. And I'm just going to start from the first of the chapter. It says, "For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up what has been planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace." And what I love about this text is, that covers just about everything in life, every season of life, and the idea that under heaven there's a season for everything. You may be right now in a time of mourning. Someone you love's passed away. That time of mourning will come to an end. It doesn't mean that you'll forget about that person. It doesn't mean that you'll get over it, that you'll get past it. But the season of the hurt of it will change. You may be in a season of rejoicing. Well, enjoy that season. Live in that season right now. But there's going to come a time of sorrow. In our world, whether it's the seasons that our world goes through summer, winter, fall, spring, all those seasons, or the season, everything in life is cyclical. And the only thing that doesn't change in the world is the fact that there is change in the world. And if we try and fight against change, if we try and resist change, all we're doing is harming ourselves and missing out on what God has in store for us in this change, during that season of change. What are your thoughts, guys?
Beautiful. It's like a poem.
It is.
Like you said.
It is. Yeah.
They should make a song out of it.
They should make it.
Sure, somebody has.
Yeah, somebody has for sure. Here's what I love about it, is we're talking about Luciano Cigars. This was a change for us. This is a different cigar for us to smoke. And quite honestly, it hit me a second ago, and I don't know, maybe y'all saw it on the film. I don't know if you guys saw it. There was a second when I was getting into that second third of the cigar that, it was a significant change. A different flavor just came out. And I don't know if it was Joel over there making coffee or not, but I got hit in the face with a ton of coffee flavor out of the cigar. I don't know if y'all picked up on that in the air from over there, but it was startling. I seriously was like, whoa, that was weird. And in life that happens. Something changes. You're like, whoa, what's going on? If I'd have put this cigar down in that moment and said, forget it, I'm done with this cigar. This cigar has turned into a great cigar right now. I'm really enjoying this cigar. I would have missed out on the rest of that cigar. And life's the same way. We need to stop resisting change, embrace change, and just see what God's doing. Some of the toughest times in my life were the result of change, but they brought the most blessings that I've ever had in life. That's just one way that cigars parallel real life, What else, guys?
Well, it's been my experience that God moves. And, sometimes we want to stay in the moment we have a good movement at church or, in the Church Universal, and it's like, oh, well, we can stay here and be happy the rest of our lives. But God's always moving. He's always planning the next thing, because there's a progression, because the kingdom needs to grow. And in order to grow, you have growth pains.
Yeah.
That's just, part of it.
Part of it, yeah. Yeah, one thing that's neat with it, that you bring that up, we talk about everything around us changing and life changing and all that. Scripture makes it very clear that the only thing that doesn't change is God himself.
Yep.
That God is a God who never changes. And all the change that brings anxiety and all the change that is difficult, we can rest easy knowing that the one we serve, the one we worship, he never changes. And so he's our anchor point. When everything's messy and going all over the place around us, we can put our focus on Christ.
Yep.
And he's the one who never changes.
And, because that's important, because a lot of people have this rosy picture of, well, when I become a Christian, my life suddenly, I stop getting problems. Well, obviously that doesn't happen.
Not at all.
You learn how to embrace it.
You do,
Yeah.
but you have that anchor point too, because when you have Christ, suddenly you have something to hold on to grasp. And if you don't have that, sometimes you don't, and that can be a very scary feeling.
Sure
because
Sure it can.
it would be like falling off a cliff, and if you can't grab something, you're just falling.
Yeah.
At least we have that hand that we can reach out and grasp.
Very good.
To anchor us.
Very good. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. You need to speak more often. We'll hug it out afterward.
No.
That's not changing. Dan's not a hugger. We'll get him to change and be a hugger. Man, these cigars are great. Luciano Cigars. If you haven't had one yet, go find them. Maybe a little bit harder to find, but look them up on the internet. You may have to order them, but find them. Great cigar. Big Tony, thank you for putting us onto these cigars. And I'm glad that you embrace change. We love Jake Wyatt. We love Espinosa. But we also now, I think, can say we love Luciano Cigars. And it's because you embrace change and you brought a new cigar into our life. Thank you, brother, for that. Any last thoughts on this idea of change?
Hey, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, change and subscribe.
Well played. Well played, Dan. You're on fire today, man. This is good.
And something I'm not changing, I'm going to still tell you to tickle the bell icon.
There you go. There you go. Well played, man. You did good, man. That's we might get you to change on the hugging thing.
Nice segue.
We're not going to get you to change on the tickle the bell thing, are we? All right.
I have a shirt now, so I can't. It's written in stone. It's written in cloth.
Well, if there's any changes in your life that are causing you trouble or causing you, anxiety or anything, you can always reach out to us for some prayer. Contact cigarchurch@gmail.com or stevecigarchurch@gmail.com. We'd love to pray for you.
Yeah, and if you've never commented on one of our episodes, we need to change that. You need to comment. Let us know what you're going through. Let us know what you're smoking and what you thought of today's episode. I know that these cigars have been great. I'm going to smoke another one. But before next week, smoke a fine cigar to the glory of God, and we'll see you in our next episode.